It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley are here 1 week in. They'll tell you about their experiences with Surface Pro 3. They'll also analyze deeply Satya Nadella's interview at the Code Conference and a whole lot more. Windows Weekly is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 364, recorded May 28th, 2014, with Bing. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Carbonite. Whether you have one computer at home or several at your small business, Carbonite backs up your files to the cloud automatically and continually. Plus, access your files anytime, anywhere with a free app. Start your free trial at Carbonite.com. No credit card required. And use the offer code WINDOWS to get 2 bonus months with purchase. And by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free 2-week trial and 10% off, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code WINDOWS. And by ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster, easier, and cheaper. Post your job to 50-plus job boards with one click. Try ZipRecruiter for a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that covers Windows and giant mugs. Yeah, this is actually Paul's size, I believe. If you've ever seen his Twitter avatar, he has his face buried in a mug like this. This is from the guys at IT Pro TV who are fans, and they sent me. This is actually a brand, the world's largest coffee cup brand.
That's excellent.
And he got the Twit logo and everything. Thank you, Tim and Don. I appreciate it. Paul Thurrott's here from the super site for Windows, winsupersite.com. Mary Jo Foley from allaboutmicrosoft.com. They are the kings of Microsoft coverage each and every week. We talk about what's going on in Redmond. And yesterday, Paul did his review of the Surface Pro 3 on Before You Buy. Thank you for that. Great review. You seem like very happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously with anything, you can kind of pick out little things here and there. Yeah. But I mean, overall,
hey, nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
This is life.
That's for sure.
This is real life. This ain't
sure.
No disco. But let's start with Satya Nadella, because he gave an interview. Man, that Kara and Walt, they keep getting the big interviews. It used to be, of course, All Things D. Walt Mossberg, Kara Swisher went independent last year. They called it Recode.net, and now they have an event called Code, which has nothing to do with coding.
So, right.
Yeah, they're really
got a few people confused.
Really on the ball there. Those two.
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand the issue. You know, if you ever tried to come up with a new URL trademark, it's impossible now.
So hard, yeah.
Because you have to get the not just the trademark in your country, but it has to be a global. Well, look at Microsoft's problems with SkyDrive and OneNote and whatever. I don't know. So Satya Nadella on stage, just as Bill used to do with Walt and Kara. And you have parsed in great, obsessive detail everything.
You don't have a lot going on, Leo.
You watched with bated breath.
Pretty much.
Did you go to Code? Did you go to Code? No.
No, and it made it a little tricky to keep up with this because they didn't stream it. So I don't know what Paul was doing. I had like 3 or 4 live blogs open trying to watch what everybody was saying as he was talking, and they didn't all agree at all points.
Have they put out a video yet?
Live blogging is the worst.
No, I know.
No video yet.
So really, this is all secondhand from the people who were...
Well, I didn't write anything up until they published their explanation of what was said. Now, I know from past All Things D conferences that their version of what the guy said is probably also inaccurate, but I felt like they're the source and, maybe the best source, at least for the moment.
You need something like Mechanical Turk, where you just take 4 different descriptions of what Nadella said, and then you average
You
them
dump
out.
it down, and you realize he didn't say anything.
Didn't say anything.
That's amazing.
And yet, I mean, this is his baptism by fire. He's only been CEO for a few months. He's already
a cool customer, though. Don't you think he could just take it?
I think he's pretty impressive. Well, so tell me, what do you think?
I thought so too. Although I saw some write-ups today saying, "Oh, he did a terrible job. He was evasive." Hey, that's your job as a CEO to be evasive on these kind of things.
CEO interviews are the worst interviews in the world.
Right.
I don't do them.
I'm not even sure I agree that he was evasive, to be honest. I mean, we'll get to this, but there was one point where he basically said no comment. But that was a no comment that spoke volumes. I mean, about the truth. I didn't think he was evasive really at all.
Yeah.
The question was whether he was on board on the Nokia purchase.
Right.
Yep.
What did that? First of all, we don't know the literal question and literal.
I think the little question was, are you on board? But no, before, as it was happening, were you on board with the Nokia purchase?
Were you consulted? Is that what that means?
No, did you agree that Microsoft should buy Nokia?
In favor of it.
And he said no comment, which you're right. That's virtually no.
It is.
An evasive CEO would say, absolutely, of course.
Of course, of course. And Steve Ballmer would have said that, just as the prototypical CEO.
No comment is like saying, well, how do you like my new bride? Well, no comment.
Right. Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you don't abstain, right? I mean, there were reports that he was not in favor, and so there was some interest as he became CEO, whether he would do something different or whether, things would fall apart and all that.
It's a done deal,
obviously he's
but
changed his tune.
I guess he could starve them, take the oxygen out of, them.
You go to war with the army you have, Leo.
Yeah.
And Bloomberg, who is the one I think who reported he wasn't on board with it initially, said he eventually did change his mind and then became in favor of it. But
And by Bloomberg,
I think that's why he didn't want to get into it, right? Because that would bring up a lot of old, dirty laundry.
Oh, and there's nothing worse than old, dirty laundry.
Well, obviously, they've gone to great lengths to show Satya Nadella and Stephen Elop having a great relationship. That was the beautiful Christmas card mountaintop photo that they did together.
That was the funniest.
It was
so
just, which we'll be making fun of for years to come.
So weird.
It's just the weirdest bromance. But there was the Surface Pro 3 event last week where they were both there, and it seems to me that they're trying to cultivate a relationship.
Yeah, and not wanting Nokia doesn't mean you don't want Elop.
They're staying together for the kids, Leo.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
It may mean, and I think it's a reasonable thing to say. Wait a minute, hold on there. Hold on there, Paulie. So let's go through it bit by bit. He said, at the end of the day, we're a software company. That's really, for sure, what Microsoft always has been, but the hardware is this new thing, the devices.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe it says we're a devices and services company.
How did you put it in your post?
I said, it's the second time, or maybe there's been even more times that he said this. And what's interesting is he's the CEO of the devices and services company saying, hey, we're a software company at the end of the day, right? And I think it's really telling. And I also think it's really smart on his part because his strategy is let's play to our strengths.
Right.
And what's their strength? Being a software company.
Yeah.
It's not being a device.
It's just like Acer's strategy when you think about it. At the Acer event we went to recently, the guy said, if you've got a kid who comes home and they have all A's and then 2 C's, I mean, what do you focus on? And I think what he was trying to say was, you focus on that's like the tiger parent thing. You focus on the A's. And I was like, oh, no.
I think the tiger mom focuses on the C's.
Okay, because I was saying as a parent, I would focus on the C's.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
How can we get better?
It seems like the A's are taking care of themselves.
Right.
But this is a business, not a parent, a child. So it's a little different.
But yeah. Well, you may be in public, you cheerlead for the A's, but in private, you might be kicking some butt around the C division.
Yeah. Or you
I
find
mean, right.
ways,
I don't want to spend too much time on this
or you find ways
analogy.
to take the C and make it into something that looks like an A, which is what I think he's trying to do.
Right.
He's saying,
Like a
hey,
B+.
we're a software company, right? But we're going to sell hardware devices. to help us sell more software. That's kind of the spin on this.
And you'll recall from when he became CEO that the very first thing he did was send out this letter where the word software suddenly appeared everywhere.
Software.
Yeah.
And this is a word we hadn't heard out of Microsoft in a year and a half or so. And so I remember at the time we thought that was very, that was quite notable.
If you could pick one leitmotif to his reign as CEO, it would be software. This keeps coming up, right? In his his first all hands. He said basically the same thing.
Bill Gates, who is also part of this little chat, is the author of the Notion magic of software. Bill Gates loves software, obviously, and it's perhaps notable and not coincidental that Gates is a close confidant of his, and they're working together, and maybe that has something to do with the software focus. Maybe that was Gates's influence.
Well, for a software company, I guess he's decided not to sell Xbox, so there's still some hardware in there.
That was
Bing.
good.
Or Bing. That was the ELOC plan.
Yeah, the Xbox comment was good because we talked about it on one of our episodes where Gates kind of gave this comment. I think it was on CNBC or Fox that made it sound like maybe that was in play. It was a little iffy. So he just said outright, we have no intent to do anything different on Xbox than we're doing today. Boom. That's it.
Right.
Did he say anything about buying the Clippers, though? That's what people really want.
No, that's the other CEO, Leo.
Wrong CEO.
That was a weird story, by the way. All right.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me not to go on that tangent.
Nope.
But
That Ballmer would buy a team.
yeah,
What
I
else
can
has
picture
got
that.
to do?
And bringing them to Seattle because Seattle doesn't have a basketball team
Right.
anymore. And let's face it, LA doesn't exactly need to.
What's the first thing Paul Allen did when he found out he wasn't dying of Hodgkin's disease? He bought the Trailblazers and the Seahawks.
Yep.
Yep.
It's if you got the money, owning a team, it's kind of the thing.
Sure.
Plus, he's really into basketball, and he's retired
He's
now,
tall.
quote unquote. He's tall.
I mean,
can
once
hang
you
with
bought
the
your own
players.
island and a boat that is as big as an island,
Right.
I think the
What else you
sports
gonna
team
do?
is probably
Plus,
right
That's
there.
Larry Ellison.
he won't have a hard time memorizing what kinds of shoes they're wearing, which is always handy.
right.
Simplifies that.
Yeah.
No plans to sell Bing. That we thought, but that's not surprising because Bing is like Internet Explorer. It's tightly woven into the fabric of everything Microsoft's doing. You don't get rid of Bing.
I think the actual question based on some of the live blogs was, would you sell Bing to Yahoo? And he said no to that.
He didn't say Bing's not for sale at any price, but he said, I'm not giving it to Marissa.
He kind of implied, it's like you
Well,
just
that would
said,
be-
it's deep in the fabric.
That would be the
Well,
natural.
I think he was trying to remind people that, Bing is not Bing.com, the search engine.
Right.
Bing is this set of technologies that, like you said, is part of the fabric of Microsoft.
And no one knows
And,
that better than he does. He ran that division.
That's right.
Sure.
Or at least no one feels that more strongly.
We don't like to highlight that part of his resume, but yes, he.
He was. Der Bingle, they called him when he came.
Right.
All right. Did he say anything about killing the Surface Mini? Did he talk about that at all? Because that's the rumor, right? That he at the last minute said we're not doing it.
Yeah. I wanted that to be a question from the audience, but no one asked that.
Or whence Windows RT? Because that would be maybe why he would kill the Mini.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody asked that, huh? Walt,
No.
Kara, the audience, nobody. Maybe that was off limits.
I don't think you go into it like that. I just don't think it was something that occurred to anybody.
Right. Yeah,
he
that's
mentioned
the
Surface
inside
Pro
baseball
thing.
stuff that we pay a lot of attention to, but maybe they don't.
Yeah.
That's why you listen to this show, folks, because you care.
Yeah, he made some interesting comments. With regards to Bing, he compared the market share of Bing to the market share of the iPhone, and he said, it's the same market share.
What?
And he didn't say this, but no one's asking Apple to sell that business off.
Right.
I mean, sorry, but I mean, and the other one he mentioned with regards to Surface, he said, Windows and Windows Server both got off the slow starts too.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I don't think anyone believes that Surface will be like a Windows-sized business for Microsoft per se, but nor that Bing is as successful as the iPhone, by the way. But I mean, it is an interesting. Those are both interesting points.
Bing is the iPhone of search. I don't know if that flies.
Yeah, they should call it iBing.
Yeah. Yeah. Bing is the enterprise rent-a-car of search. How about that?
It's more like Thrifty or
It's
one of those ones that's not at the airport.
Who has "We try harder" as their slogan?
Yeah, so that's wasn't it Avis? We're number 2, so we try harder. It's like Avis. Sure. Yeah, the Avis. Office on iPad. He talked a little bit about the fact that iPad came first. Which
this one I thought he was a little evasive on, right? Yeah. Because I think we have an understanding that the iPad version was in development earlier, and we know that Microsoft has far more people working on iOS than they did on Android. That their Android ramp up has been much slower, but that at the end of the day, I think you're going to see some parity there. And he basically just said that the iPad had the most share, and that was why they did that. But I'm actually not completely on board with that being the only reason. I just think they had many more people and much more time working on that than they did on the other versions.
What he says or what he misrepresents tells you as much as what he says, what he prevaricates about.
Sure. And he reiterated this defense where, there's no reason to hold back on Office for iPad just because Office for Office first, whatever they're calling it, Touch First Office.
He should just say it was done.
Yeah, it's done. It was there.
It's done.
And you can look at it and you realize it's a really high quality set of apps. I mean, this is nice. Why would you hold on to something like that?
Why didn't he say that? Why did he kind of pat Mike? I mean, look, Microsoft makes a tablet too. Why did he pat Apple on the back? Maybe he's trying to get in good with those guys.
Well, I guess we could bring it back to the original comment, which is that Microsoft makes software, and the iPad is a popular platform. That software is done. This is software,
right?
Yeah, he didn't actually say the word cross-platform software, but more and more, since he's been CEO for the past 100 days, you can see the word cross-platform is kind of just there. Everything they're doing, it's like Android, iPhone, iPad. Like a lot of times Windows and Windows Phone come after these platforms. So it's a very different kind of feel about what the priorities are.
Yeah, because 5 years ago and then dating back 20 years, you could have said Microsoft equals Windows. Like those two things were very much tied together. But I think it's a more agnostic view, or at least a heterogeneous view of the world these days.
All right. How about Bill Gates? What about that Bill Gates?
Kara kept asking him. I think she asked 2 or 3 times based on the live blogs. How many times do you have lunch with Bill Gates?
She really just cuts right to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that I think we all respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just avoided it completely. He was like, you know what? The one thing
when
he
you
did
do
say
have lunch, what do you eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were a tree,
vegan?
if you were a
guessing,
sandwich,
Gates is like a vegetable sandwich kind of guy.
What kind of sandwich would you be?
Oh, man. The one thing he did say, though, which I thought was great, was, again, very direct. I run this company, and Bill is an advisor and a founder, and I have a lot of respect for him, but I'm in charge.
The buck stops here.
That's it. Yeah. That was good that he said that, because a lot of people have been writing stories and planting rumors that, Bill Gates is really back to run the company because they didn't have confidence in Nadella. And I think that there is nothing further from the truth on that.
That's crazy. And by the way, Mark Penn was at the event the other day. Bill Gates wasn't at the event. I mean, there's been no public indication that is anywhere close to the truth at all, ever.
His answer was that Bill's working on Office.
Yeah.
He's probably back to his old tablet PC thing. He's going to make this work.
No.
Yeah. I heard a couple people I know mention he had been very involved in what Microsoft was doing around Oslo, which is kind of the next generation social client that's going to be integrated with Office 365. And I think he's actually sat in on design meetings on that, and I'm sure on other things in Office as well.
Is it based on Yammer? What is Oslo?
Well, we'll talk about Oslo later in the show.
Let's save that. Okay, good.
We'll save it. Yeah.
Oslo.
So yeah, he's definitely involved. Is he spending 30% of his time back at Microsoft, as he said he would make available? I have no idea. But I think it's just kind of disingenuous for people to say Gates is running the show and telling Nadella what to do. I I don't think that's.
And do
case.
you include the amount of time spent eating lunch as part of the 30%?
That is key.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
now we know. Reinvent it. He used the word reinvent when it comes to Office. What does that mean? Reinvent Office.
You don't really know. I mean, I Oslo may be part of it, right? This notion of Office services, things that work across all of Office. It's fair to say that on both the client, where you have an Office 365 subscription, and now you get all the apps. You don't have a lot of different Office suite versions necessarily. And then on the server side as well, we have Office 365, and where businesses will get all of the servers, what used to be servers, meaning Exchange, SharePoint, Link, and not just some subset of them, that they can start to think about Office internally a little differently than they did before, not as separate little solutions where they build features on top of one thing, but as a set of things that they can build on top of, because now they know everyone has everything.
Office as a service.
Yeah, I mean, that is a different worldview. I don't know if it's Office reinvented per se, but I mean, that might be part of it.
That's kind of intriguing.
And then there are some new apps coming into the Office suite, we think, like things like the Reader, Office Reader, and that app we just talked about recently called Remix, which is, or now called Office Mix, which is the digital storytelling app that lets you record video presentations and annotate them. So I think they're really rethinking what people want to do from a productivity standpoint with Office, and not just say it's only Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote.
What do people want to do?
I know. Well, in the old days, you would go to an Office launch event, and Microsoft would have a very convoluted, invented story about some Office scenario where Bob needed to make a flyer, and as you kind of step through the whole process, he would in turn use every single application in the suite. And at the time, they were just trying to show you how these things all work together. It was all very nice and everything. And, again, I think the way things have changed is that now everyone does get everything. And so in the past, you might have said, well, I'm not getting Publisher because I don't pay for the really expensive version of the suite. I get like the home version or whatever. And, now things have changed. And so, we'll see. When you think about standalone applications, I mean, the last successful, and it's really only been semi-successful, new Office application is probably OneNote, right? Yeah. That the apps they've introduced since, like InfoPath, have not really gone anywhere. And that maybe the era of the standalone Office app is coming to a close, and that we need to start integrating these things, in a fashion that is more sophisticated than like Olay or, DDE or whatever we used to do in the past. I mean, that, now we can start thinking of these things, in a more combined sense. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of babbling, but speculating.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I could see Bill Gates wanting to, kind of say this. Yeah, I'm going to work on this because I'm interested in this. What is
this? This is a Gates thing. This makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Skype. They did show a new feature in Skype, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Translation.
Yeah, that was cool. They're calling it the Skype translator app. And they say it's going to be available in limited beta form before the end of the year. So they did a demo of it. They showed somebody speaking English talking to someone who's speaking back in German in real time, and it had the video, and they were translating on the fly. This is something they've been working on for a long time. They've been, I'd say years, literally. And I think they said in their own blog post, we've been working on this over a decade.
Wow.
And they've had bits and pieces, like Bing Translator they've had before. And then they had something called Skype Translate, which let you do actually IM translation on the fly. And then I think it was like 2 years ago, they showed a video of Rick Rashid, who was running Microsoft Research, speaking through a simultaneous translation capability that was in research at the time, where he was being translated in real time into Chinese. So they've been kind of getting there bit by bit.
Yeah.
So it's
pretty
audio?
Cool. Audio, video. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, you just speak and it happens. They should call this Skype Babelfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's simultaneous translation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like real time. Yeah.
Wow. I would. Now, are there videos out of this, or do we just have to?
There is a video clip of that on the Recode site.
That is pretty impressive.
It is. It's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how limited the limited beta will be. How many languages will be supported. And they tried to get Nadella to tell a few more details. And he said, I don't even know how we're going to price it or package it. We're going to figure it out.
Right.
That is, that's kind of a Microsoft research project, right?
They may have finally figured out a way to get people to pay for Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skype Premium, right?
Yeah.
Hey, let's just, I want to just kind of watch a little bit of this here.
Starts with the cloud.
Oh, we got an ad.
Microsoft Dynamics, Azure, and Office.
Azure.
Hopefully it's for Captain
Azure.
Obvious.
Azure.
This
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
is the Microsoft Cloud.
That's a Microsoft ad, at least.
Well, I'm on the TechNet site, so that kind of makes
okay.
You want to show us something?
Yeah, so the thing that we want to show you is we've put together, Microsoft Research has been, speaks to the patience part of it. Microsoft Research 15 years ago started our machine translation.
He seems very
group and
personable.
Working on speech recognition.
Yeah, I'd say he is.
Friendly and
translation,
nice,
speech
smart.
synthesis. Now, it's not just about daisy chaining these three technologies and bringing it together. In fact, it's this deep neural net that you
He's kinda-
build
I like his
synthesize the
presentation. I
model
think
to be
he's
able
a-
to do speech recognition and
He's
pretty naturally.
engaging
he
and
seems like
smart.
the real deal. Like,
Yeah,
seems,
genuine.
I'll show you the demo, but the
Yep.
one fascinating feature of this is
He's a
something
geek,
called
which I like.
transfer learning. And what happens is, say you teach it English, it learns English. Then you teach it Mandarin, it learns Mandarin, but it becomes better at English. And then you teach
What?
it Spanish, it gets
How could
it's
that
the
be?
magic of software, Leo. Don't question it.
What?
None of us know exactly why. It's brain-like in the sense of its capability.
Did you just say we don't know why this
Very
works?
magical.
Okay, it's magic. Thank
It'll be
you.
magic until they take over the world and kill us.
We're a little freaked by
It
it,
is going
actually.
to make
Magic.
sure you can communicate
Okay.
with anybody without language barriers. In fact, it's the most human of things.
Do you think
So
now,
let's-
I mean, watching this, that one thing that Nadella brings to Microsoft is a feeling that it's a global company.
Name, by the way?
I mean, I'm he's obviously East Indian and this feels, and nowadays if you're not, you're really you're missing the boat. You need to be a
Well,
global company.
this may not be obvious to people who don't live near Microsoft, but and I don't know about Silicon Valley. I assume it's the same down there. But when you go to that area of the country, there's all kinds of Indian people and Oriental people, and it's a very diverse area because all the smart people from around the world
Right.
come to
Come
work
there.
at Microsoft.
Right.
And Microsoft is a very diverse company, actually. The problem is, the leadership has always been what I always describe as that kind of middle-aged white guy club, and a lot of the people that Mary Jo and I have dealt with over the years have been that kind of crowd. And a lot of the engineers and the researchers and the really smart people coming up with new stuff are not necessarily, the Microsoft from 1985.
Yeah. So he's brought on a research engineer who's, I guess, going to. There's a lot of talking. I thought they might jump to this a little.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think
So
they're
he's going to
kinda
talk to a
safe.
German colleague.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to take a call from.
Do you speak German?
I don't speak German.
Okay.
Do you?
I don't. Well,
I do a little.
Okay, good.
words.
So you can. Be,
Yeah, I know what
sure
words
that you're
Karen
not-
knows.
if anyone speaks German, listen closely.
I'm going
See
to
if
put on the
see if this
headset.
is real.
Poor Satya I feel like he's being pushed out by the arms folded guys. All right, so this is a Skype call on a Dell, I might add.
Yep.
Hello, Diana. How are you doing?
Hallo Diane, wie dir? Es geht.
Yeah, the voice is good.
Hallo, mein Freund. Hello, my friend.
It's obviously kindergarten English.
Ist es wahr, dass du bald nach London umziehst?
Is it true
that you
Jeez, that's quite an emoting there.
Yes, I'm currently planning to move there sometime between the middle of
Nah,
June
see, he's talking
to
at a
the,
fairly
beginning of July
rapid
if
clip here.
everything goes per track.
Now, if Skype does...
Ich plane derzeit dort irgendwann zwischen Mitte Juni bis Anfang Juli zu verschieben, wenn alles geht. Aber verfolgen.
It got one of the words wrong in the English transcription. So.
Oh, ich liebe London. Ich habe ein Semester in Oxford studiert.
Whoa.
Oh, I love London. I studied a semester in Oxford.
That's impressive.
Wir waren oft auf der Portobello Straße und in Camden Town.
We were often on the Portobello Road in Camden Town.
I think my family would love it there this summer, but I'm sure my kids will miss their friends back in Seattle.
And this isn't canned, right? This is really...
Ich denke, dass die Familie es dort diesen Sommer lieben würde. Aber ich bin
the English translation, I'm looking at the bottom of the screen, they show the English translation and then the German. I don't speak German, so I can't.
Das kann ich gut verstehen.
I can understand that.
The only German I know is from Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah, Achtung.
The person doing the demo, by the way, we should point out, is Gurdeep Singh Paul, who runs Skype. He's the corporate VP of Skype.
I like him because we need him. Gurdeep, I'm on your team, dude. That was actually really cool. And imagine us using that to have international guests on our shows who don't speak English. That might be remarkable.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We do
chat room is
a
saying
home swap every year with people from Europe. We could potentially communicate with them in real time, which is amazing.
Right. Now the chat room, some of the chat speaks German, and some say the grammar. There's some grammar errors and stuff. But you know what? You'd expect that. If you do translation of any kind. But the point is, can it be understood? Not is it perfect?
Well, you've had a conversation with someone who has English as a second language, and if they're from Europe, they often try to tell you how they don't speak very good English, and then they proceed to speak very good English. And they'll get those things wrong, but you understand exactly what they're saying. It's fine. just
I think this is kind of miraculous. Don't you?
Yeah. It's a cool demo. I mean, the question's going to be, how does it work when it's actually in production, right? I mean,
did they say anything about that? Did they say when we're going to see it, or?
They said before the end of this year, it'll be in limited beta.
That is, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Of course, that means Google's going to rush theirs out too, because Google Translator
Google
already
I/O's
does
coming
that,
up, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see exactly the same demo. Actually, come to think of it. Chat room says some of the word orders mixed up. That's not German has a different word order from adjectives and nouns at different positions and so forth. But that's cool. That's that's mighty impressive. Now, there's one thing I saw, and this was, I think, the biggest headline from this, and I kind of glommed onto this because I've been saying this for a few weeks now. He said we're in a post-PC world.
Okay, if you've been saying that, then please explain what that means, because
well, the post-PC world implied that people are moving to tablets and mobile devices and using the PC only for heavy lifting, the truck, which Steve Jobs said at an All Things D conference some years ago. I have to think that you see this in sales figures, that we're kind of in a world now where the mobile phone does maybe 80 or 90% of all the computing people do.
Right.
And I think that number is going to increase. It's not that people won't have tablets or won't have computers, but I think it's one of the reasons sales of the iPad, for instance, were poor this quarter. I think maybe that the mobile is turning out to be so powerful and so effective, and the larger screens like the 1520 mean that it is your computer of choice. Is that, you think, what he meant? No, probably not. That's what I meant.
I find myself a little confused by this.
Well, it's a weird thing for Microsoft to say, given that they're selling PCs.
If you buy into the notion of a post-PC world, you are by definition buying into a world in which Microsoft has just failed. And so I think Microsoft at the time tried to call this the PC Plus era, because it wasn't that other devices were taking over for PCs. It was that there were other devices in addition to PCs. The post-PC era is, don't worry, we've gotten by the recession. It's we're back to another world where Microsoft can be successful again or something. I'm not positive what it means.
Last night after he gave his remarks at the conference, he then went on to do what Mark Andreessen does, and he did a whole series of numbered tweets.
Really?
Wow. He did. He did 1 through 7. And
wait, who did this?
I think Satya did.
Really?
He did. Go back and look at Twitter. It was late our time. It was like 2 a.m. Eastern. But he kind of explained what he meant there, because he talked about personal computing being more personal. And I think if he had explained it that way and said the definition of what personal computing is being expanded on, that people might have understood what he meant better, instead of saying post PC, which people were kind of like, what? What is that?
It's like, is he stuttering? What does
Yeah,
this
he talked
mean?
about people-centered, data-fueled, balanced monetization, meaning, one way of getting revenue doesn't fit all.
Sure.
And then the whole idea of data fueling personal experiences. So, making PCs, the personal computing experience, more human. And I think that's what he was trying to get at, but never really got to explain.
People-centered, data-fueled. I love this. People-centered, data-fueled, balanced monetization, more human.
It seems like those last two are mutually exclusive.
It says one business model does not fit all. This is balanced monetization. Balance is achieved by putting people at the center. And then he explains, apps power experiences across devices. Yeah, this sounds like the Office strategy. Will not be bound to one app on one device in one place. More human. Technology is at a point where it starts to understand us, becomes more personal. See Skype translator. All great achievements require time. Oh, that's the Maya Angelou, RIP. These are coming in out of order for me for some reason. Data is our most precious natural resource. Really?
It's not the children?
I thought it was the children. But anyway, our task is to refine data into fuel for more personal experiences. See, if you say our task is to refine children into the fuel for more personal experiences, it doesn't.
The problem is they're fracking it.
Yeah, so I got this kind of out of order.
Yeah.
And I agree with Satya's highlight of the day, the Skype translator demo. He liked it too. I hope he tweets more. This is great.
Yeah, he's been tweeting more, which is really great to see.
Yeah, I followed him as soon as he created that account, which was right after he was named CEO.
Ballmer didn't tweet very much.
No.
The real Steve Ballmer. Yeah.
He has 72 tweets. He's followed by 200,000. Don't be depressed, Satya. You'll catch up.
Right.
He's following.
It's possible some people don't know who you are.
It's possible.
Yeah.
He's following 33 people, including Clippy.
Nice.
And Tim Cook. Look who he's following. This is kind of interesting. Tim Cook, Julia White, who did that wonderful demo of iPad Office. Clippy. He follows Build, Azure. Horace Dedieu, Chris Dixon, Bill Gates, Matt Cutts of Google. Marissa Meyer he follows.
It's like a virtual country club over here.
He likes MIA. That must be his music. Mike Arrington for the laughs. Chris Sacca, the angel. Not like literal angel. He's an angel investor. Danny Sullivan. Stock Twits. I'm not crazy about that, but Howard Lindson's happy. Just don't like the name. Search Engine Land, Bing, Mark Cuban, Pierre Omidyar, Chris Anderson of TED, Henry Blodgett, Tim O'Reilly. This is a good list. Malcolm Gladwell, Om Malik, Walt Mossberg. He just added him. And Kara's not on this list, by the way.
She probably doesn't know what Twitter is.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it that he's following Clippy. Do you think he got a memo? Hey,
you never know what you're going to find out.
Hey, Satya.
You never do.
Hey, would you mind?
I hear you're working on Office again, big guy.
Actually, I think Clippy is Satya. Satya's been Clippy since the beginning, and he thought, well, I'll just keep doing it. Clippy only has. This is kind of telling. Clippy only has 1,000 followers. I'm gonna follow you, Clippy. And you know what Clippy's tagline is? It looks like you're writing a tweet. Would you like some help?
That's awesome.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail you on that one. Let's take a break. We're going to move on, but that was our look at what Satya Nadella said. We should have a new feature. Satya Says.
Right.
Today on Satya Says. Our show today brought to you by Carbonite.com. Online backup done right. We're Carbonite fanatics here. As you probably heard me talk about it frequently, Carbonite is the kind of backup I recommend. It's automatic. It's continuous. Whenever you're online, it's backing up. And most important, it's off-site. It's backing up to the cloud where your data is safe even if the worst should happen. Tornado, fire, flood. I want you to visit Carbonite.com. and kind of learn a little bit about the product. A couple of things that make Carbonite unique. It's flat rate pricing. You pay once a year, no matter how much data you send to the Carbonite cloud. That's nice. $59.99 a year for everything on a single Mac or a PC. They also have plans for small businesses, for servers, external drives, all of the rest. In fact, 50,000 businesses use Carbonite. Every day, 350 million files are uploaded to the Carbonite cloud. That is cool. And to date, they've saved 20 billion files. HIPAA compliant. It's secure. Trust no one. Encryption is available. I think you're going to like Carbonite. And I've set up a 2-week plan for you to try it. No credit card needed. Just use our offer code WINDOWS. You can try it absolutely free at any of the plans. If you decide to buy, you'll get 2 months extra because you mentioned Windows. Carbonite.com. Use the offer code WINDOWS. Start saving your data today with Carbonite. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. So I think, is it safe? Is it fair to say, I feel it is, that Office 365 is a hit?
Yes.
What is it? A $2.5 billion business, or
wow? Yeah, plus
something like
3.5 million home and consumer subscribers. So that's not even for the business version. Fastest growing product of Microsoft ever.
What? Really? Wow. I didn't realize it was that big. It is a hit, no question about it. So that means Microsoft.
Turns out people have to work.
Well, but it's not just that. They like this, that they can. An acceptance of the subscription model is the key, I think, from Microsoft's point of view, because they've always wanted to do this. Does this mean now Windows 365?
Surprisingly,
obviously, yes.
Leo, no.
No.
I know. And you know what? Paul and I have speculated this on Windows Weekly so many times. We were like, they must be going to do this. This must be happening, right?
They made no secret that they wanted to do this, and certainly they do it in enterprise, right? They have subscription models.
Right. Sure. And in the enterprise, they have volume licensing agreements like the enterprise agreement. And that's how people, quote, subscribe to Windows. But we were speculating they might do something similar like a Windows 365, where if you bought a version of Windows, you'd automatically be subscribed to updates. And I've been asking my sources because recently there was a list put out by somebody whose name is Fakey on Twitter.
Fakey McFaster.
Fakey McFaster, right? But he actually supposedly is a Microsoft employee or somehow in with Microsoft. And he put out a list saying there was this thing called Windows 365 in the works and it was being built. So I started asking around, and my sources say, nope, not true. Okay, so why aren't they doing it? Yeah. First off, as Paul and I were talking about this today, how do consumers get new versions of Windows? They get them preloaded on PCs, right? And then
that's always been the thing that made Windows
been the thing.
Right. Yeah. You don't upgrade Windows, you buy a new computer.
Yeah. And if you have an upgrade or an update, like going from Windows 8 to Windows 8.1 to Windows 8.1 update, Microsoft can push it to you through Windows Update or through the store or however. May not be the smoothest path, but there's a path. So what would Microsoft get if they tried to force consumers to subscribe to Windows? I think they would not have a success. I think they'd have a failure. And I think they also believe this is not viable.
Well, but you don't have to make it a either or. Can't you say that's an option?
Maybe.
We're going to give the volume licensing kind of thing to individuals.
You know what, though? There's a lot that goes into this. In addition, obviously, there's some small subset of the community that would like this, enthusiasts, people that want to have multiple copies of Windows.
People bought TechNet for that reason, right?
I was just going to say exactly right. The people who bought TechNet personal, the individual subscription would love this. They are a very small, tiny audience, comparatively speaking, to the big Windows group, 1 to 1.5 billion users. You got to remember, though, that Microsoft has significantly changed the way it licenses Windows. Windows is now available to PC makers for free if the device is inexpensive, under $250, and has a smaller screen size. And it's available for less, and we don't know how much less, but for less for PC makers and other devices. In that sense, the value of Windows as a standalone thing has declined greatly, and that the actual value of Windows to an individual has thus gone down as well. I mean, you're going to buy a device and you're going to get Windows on it. They want to move Windows to more of a kind of a device scheme. It's not a PC where you're going to be upgrading and upgrading and upgrading, and you you keep using the same hardware. They want you to buy a device, and then when that devices are done, and you want to go to the next version, what they want you to do is buy the next device. And
we'll
I just
make
think
plenty of money that way.
I think the world has changed.
Yeah. And not
and it's not
only
one
that,
thing; it's a bunch of things.
Right. It's that, trying to encourage people to buy more devices and retire their devices earlier, but also the way they think they can offset this revenue loss from licensing Windows is through all the other services they have, right? So Xbox Live, Office 365, Xbox Music Pass. They're thinking, you know what? Maybe people won't pay us X amount for a new version of Windows, but what if we can get them to subscribe to these services, OneDrive, everything, that's connected to the cloud. And I think that's the new way they're thinking about monetization more than trying to turn something that's actually a platform like Windows into a service. I think they're thinking that's not the right model in this case. It's back to one of Nadella's tweets, right? He said, same business model doesn't work everywhere. I wonder if he wasn't thinking about this when he said that.
I mean, the free versions of Windows are the very inexpensive versions of Windows, which we'll talk about somewhere in here, I think. Don't we have this in here? Yeah, somewhere in here. Are going to come with some stipulations, and hopefully it won't be as ugly as here are banner ads, on the desktop or on the start screen or whatever. But I think it's fair to say they're looking at everything, that in monetizing Windows. It may get to the point where the notion of you owning a Windows license doesn't make any sense. That, this is just something you get. You just have it. You have the device. You don't think about an iOS license when you have an iPhone or an iPad. It just comes with it. And you get, so many upgrades or whatever, and they're free. And there's no value to the OS. No one ever thinks, well, I'm selling my iPhone. I want to put that OS on a different iPhone, or something like that's not that world. And Microsoft wants the PC world to be like that. And I think this is, playing into it as well.
Right. A couple of people have mentioned Windows Intune and said, that's really a Windows subscription service. It is, but that's really a subscription service for businesses. Again, right. It's not something your average home user is going to go, hey, I need a Windows Intune subscription to download, Windows Professional.
Although I do think about doing that.
Do you?
But
yeah.
Well, it's too
You're
expensive
a special case, though.
I am a special.
I just bought Windows 8.1 full for $200.
Yep.
So I could install it on my Mac. And I probably should have got the upgrade version, blah, blah, blah. But I just want a full version. So it's expensive.
It's expensive, yeah.
But that's probably why nobody buys it.
That's a fairly specialized usage.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
scenario. I mean,
very much so, yeah.
So, for it to be expensive on something like that
that's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
That's okay.
And the other thing we should say is, and Paul and I both said this to each other on IM today, everything is in flux right now at Microsoft. And right now, this is not the plan, but maybe sometime this will be the plan. But for now, it's not the plan. It's not something that's going to show up next year when we see threshold. It's not imminent. But it's still worth remembering things can change.
I think people should look really to Satya Nadella's Twitter background to understand what Microsoft's long-term plan is. As you can see,
if you just separate your brain from
what? Wow! But I think that those tweets and maybe this background are something worth parsing. Here's the devices.
It looks to me, if you look to the top right, to the left of the box that says developers.
Yeah.
I believe that is the Dropbox symbol upside down, suggesting that Microsoft intends to destroy Dropbox.
It's dumping out the contents of the Dropbox. I believe you're accurate there.
I think they've hacked into Dropbox.
And what exactly is this?
That's the bot. That's the the virus.
Oh, that.
This
is a whimsical drawing, Satya. I wonder if he did it. Or is this something that he found on the conference room table
after
Bill
how he
left?
got his CEO job?
Yeah, he said, "I have a plan." I have a plan.
And he drew this picture, and they were like, "I have no idea what this means. He must be really smart."
Seriously, I want this on my wall. Wow,
that's good. I like the bug on the wire there.
Yeah, there's a bug, and then a little sign that says "Thinks people care about most," and then a brain.
All right.
Where did this come from, I wonder?
I don't know.
Probably
It's
an
funny.
infographic somebody made somewhere.
Is it? Maybe this looks like one of them design thinking things. Maybe somebody drew. I don't know. It's weird.
That's good. I don't know.
Well, I think those tweets, if not that drawing, those tweets are, that's the roadmap, isn't it? Kind of.
Yep.
Sort of. I don't know.
In a very kind of fluffy,
it's fluffy,
cloud-like way.
He calls it the more personal computing era.
Yeah.
More personal computing.
They have names for everything now, don't they? I just
Maybe
we're really busy labeling things.
Maybe this is his way of saying I didn't mean post PC. I'm sorry I said that.
I think it is.
The most powerful OS in the world is still the human being. That's what drives us to the more personal computing.
Should patent it.
That's the Dalai Lama talking there, baby. That's profound. Hey, I don't know if it's on your list. I don't think it is, but I was curious. You know, the story came out last week that YouTube was going to buy Twitch .tv for $1 billion, and I have to think this is something Microsoft. And this is, I'm speaking.
I heard Microsoft was also interested in Twitch.
You got to think that Microsoft must want Twitch. Now, the deal hasn't consummated, maybe because there's a bidding war going on. It makes perfect sense for YouTube, too. Twitch.tv, and Mary Jo wouldn't know this, but is a
surprisingly.
Okay. Is a streaming video service, kind of like Ustream or Justin.tv. In fact, it's owned by Justin.tv. But it streams primarily gameplay. And people will sit in the corner and talk about their gameplay. And this is the hottest category on YouTube. It's a surprisingly hot category.
See, I think if you were going to record a game that I was playing, the interesting part wouldn't be the game, it would be my reactions to what was happening in the game.
That's what Twitch is all about, right?
Yeah.
Is you see the little guys sitting there going, oh, yeah, or joking around.
I have moments in this game where I would pay big bucks to have heard the reaction from the guy on the other side of an interaction, you know? Because, you know, he's sitting there going, God damn it. You know, how did that happen?
So anyway, I just thought you agree, Paul. This would make
this is there's going to be a natural consolidation of this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Something like Twitch is going to become part of something bigger, and I have to be honest. It makes sense for Twitch not to be part of Microsoft
because they want to be
cross-platform. It would make more sense in YouTube because Microsoft makes one of the gaming platforms, and YouTube. Right. Well, Google sort of does, I guess, Android, but I don't think a lot of people are recording Android games right now.
No, but Twitch is integrated into both Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, so. I'd rather see it be outside of those systems, you know, rather than be inside of one of them. But.
Yeah. Let's take a break and come back because I want to get your reviews. As I said, Paul reviewed the Surface Pro 3 on Before You Buy. Highly recommend it. But, you know, we can get kind of both you and Mary Jo have now been using it for a week. Find out how you like it and what you think of it. Our show today brought to you by, we'll do that in a second, Squarespace.com, the great place to go to create your next website. Squarespace is the best damn hosting in the world, tied with an amazing software platform on top of it. That's what you use, your interface, to your blog, your portfolio, your e-commerce site, your business site. I'm a big fan of Squarespace. We use it for our Inside Twit blog. And, you know, one of the things we've learned, the Twit army can bring down any site except a Squarespace site. And we have tried and tried and tried, and we have never had any success bringing a Squarespace site to its knees. And that's because it is the best hosting. Go to squarespace.com, click the Get Started button. You'll pick from 25 gorgeous designs. You might say, well, 25? Does that mean there's only 25 ways a site can look? No. In fact, when you pick a design, as I've done here, and scroll down, you'll see all the different sites, real user sites, that use this template. And you can see they all look very different. That's the beauty of Squarespace. Once you pick a template, now you can get going and customize like crazy. You don't have to be a geek. You don't have to know CSS or HTML or JavaScript. If you do, they have a developer platform that's second to none. But you also can just point and click your way to an incredible site. And that's what most of these people have done. They add their social media integration as a widget. This guy, I guess, is a painter. Painters love Squarespace because, look at this. This is basically a portfolio for this guy. Oh, he does type, too. Look at that. Look at that. This is awesome. Oh, he's a sign painter. Love this. What a great site. And you can see how Squarespace is done right by him. Now, the beauty of this, I'm looking at this on a big screen, but if you put this on an iPhone or a Windows phone, it's going to look great because all Squarespace sites are mobile responsive. And the price is right. $8 a month when you buy the annual plan. That's the basic price. $8 a month. That includes a domain name absolutely free with the annual purchase. If you want e-commerce, $24 will give you everything. Unlimited bandwidth, unlimited pages, galleries, blogs, unlimited contributors, fully integrated e-commerce, including shipping, real-time shipping information, label printing, integrated inventory accounting from zero. I mean, this is fabulous. Squarespace.com. Try it. Costs you nothing for 2 weeks. You don't even give them a credit card. Just click the Get Started button. And you can import all your content. They have importers for all the basic APIs. And once you try it, if you decide to buy, all I ask is you use the offer code Windows. You'll want to. You'll get 10% off your subscription. That's why going for a year or two really pays off. 10% off at Squarespace.com. Congratulations to our friends at Squarespace. 4 Webby Awards. I think for their apps. They have incredible iOS apps.
If you don't mind me pointing this out, I can't stand when you do Squarespace ads because...
I know, because you have to suffer.
What, you know, it's always like some gorgeous website. I know. Interactive, colorful.
Paul, think of it this way. The Super Site for Windows is about content. Content forward. That's it.
Okay.
It's all about the content. Yeah, I could talk to Penton Media. We could set them up. Like we could set you up. We get you a deal at Squarespace.
I would like a change.
You've suffered with bad CMS, but didn't they improve it? I mean, didn't you get a new one?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this is like almost 2 years ago, though. I mean, it's still kind of stale.
I'll tell you, I have. We looked at because our site is based on Drupal, which is I think a very
ours
good,
is too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great CMS. But we got a quote, $450,000 to redo the site.
Yikes.
I don't have Sure, let me get my checkbook. What? Almost $500,000. And it's and right. I feel for people because the problem is, look, our site is only 2 years old, but the web moves faster.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Than anybody can afford to keep up. That's why Squarespace is a good deal for a lot of people.
And my site renders fantastically in Netscape 3 and up. So,
but you and I, we probably can't use Squarespace. We use the Drupal. I don't know about you guys, but it's our whole workflow backend. So it's more than just the public presentation. The software is doing a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Anyway,
I'm not sure it's doing anything for us, but I don't know. I don't know.
This someday we got to do a show about this because what's happened is web standards are moving much and people's expectations are moving much faster than anybody but the largest media company can keep up with.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is an issue. It's getting it gets more and more professional, more and more high end, more and more video related, and it's
and that's what we want a site that highlights the video and it's expensive to do it that way.
Yep.
All right. Surface Pro 3. Who wants to start? Let's start with Mary Jo. Ladies first. Yeah. So how has it been for you?
I've been liking the device quite a bit. People have asked me very often on Twitter, so you just bought an Acer Aspire S7. You paid a lot of money for an Ultrabook. You sad? Are you mad you didn't wait for this? And my answer is no. I still prefer the Acer because of how I work. And I'm sure people who aren't journalists are sick of hearing this, but I put my PC on my lap a lot, and this Surface does not work that way for me. It falls off the edge of my knee.
It's supposed to. That's the irony of it. Acer never made that claim, but Panos Panay did.
Yep. And I think this keyboard on the new Surface Pro 3 is excellent. I think they made a lot of really great improvements to it and stabilized it, made it easier to type on. But There's nothing like a dedicated keyboard attached in a clamshell device. And I type all day, so the keyboard matters a lot to me. And I know not everybody has that requirement. Most information workers don't. They don't sit there and type for 10 hours a day. But if you do, it's a lot easier to type on a real keyboard than on this keyboard.
Now, the S7 keyboard's not the greatest keyboard in the world.
It's not the greatest, but it's pretty good.
But it's adequate. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty
And by the way,
good.
just to be clear, Mary Jo, you work on your Ultrabook in your home office. You
I do.
are
I
not
switch
attached to a
sometimes.
bigger screen.
No, I switch out back and forth. Like when I'm doing the show here, I'm on my Dell Optiplex Windows 7 big screen device. But sometimes when I just want to switch out and go to a different part of my little mini office here, I'll set up my Ultrabook on the counter and work there, just for a change of scenery. You know, a few feet can make a big difference. So the thing I have,
and by the way, that's all you have room for in your office.
That is pretty much.
A few feet, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not kidding when I say that. The thing I've been surprised that I like the most about this device, and I haven't told Paul this yet, but I love the pen.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
use it with OneNote? Is that the chief way you use it? Or?
Well, I'm trying to learn OneNote. I know I'm going to be ridiculed by all the OneNote fanatics out there saying you don't need to learn it. You just start typing into it. It's not. It's not intuitive at all.
It's not. I agree I'm completely with you.
Yeah, it's they need a really good tutorial, and I've been looking for one about how to use OneNote and learn it in like an hour. I haven't found that yet. If anybody knows of one,
chat room, come up with something. We're looking.
Right.
I feel like the Surface Pro 3 is a OneNote machine.
It is, and that's why I want to learn it. And I think if I ever can master OneNote, I'm going to maybe even trade Notepad in one day for it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The reason I like the pen is I'm using it like a mouse. For me, I'm using it as a pointing device, and I'm selecting with it and double tapping with it to open things. And this actually might make me give up attaching a mouse to everything, because I'm using the pen in a way that I use the mouse currently. So that's kind of a revelation for me, because I wasn't expecting to use it that way.
Alex Gumpel says, and we will set you up with this if you want, that lynda.com has some very good
there you go.
courses on OneNote.
Yeah. I don't want to spend a ton of time learning it, but I just want to be able to use it, because I think it has a lot of features I would benefit from.
I think the OneNote 2013 Essential Training, by the way, I will set you up with this if you're interested.
Yeah, okay.
Because they are a sponsor. There's a lot of chapters. I don't know what the total length is, but it looks like it's maybe no more than a couple of hours for the whole thing.
Cool. I would invest a couple hours, because I've tried to kind of just mess around with OneNote, and I'm very unhappy with my results. So I would like to learn
I'm going to take it with you, because I want to learn it too.
Okay.
And in fact, I think I would buy a Surface Pro 3 if I felt like, gee, this is my power tool.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of meant. It's kind of meant for that.
It's not a Nokia device, so you can't like hammer a nail with it.
Oh,
but it's
you can drop it though. You can drop it.
You can
on
drop
a carpeted surface.
Is your S7 thinner or thicker?
It's somewhat thicker, because it has Gorilla Glass applied to the outside, and it's not a ton heavier.
It seems like it's almost the same size as your.
Yeah, it's a 13-inch screen instead of a 12. But, Microsoft talks about the screen on this and says the things they've done to make it feel like it's bigger than 12. I actually think I can see more information in some apps with this Surface Pro device.
is actually a really good aspect ratio. I'm kind of
she's right about that.
It's weird.
There's something about the scaling where there is more information, and because the resolution is high, the text is very crisp. So normally I might be bothered by the smallness of it, but actually it's very readable.
It is.
Yeah.
One weird problem I've had, and I think Paul's had this too, although Microsoft knows about this problem and they say they're going to issue an update to fix it, is even though the new power connector connects really quick and much better and more securely than the other one, there's something happening with power on these early devices where it looks like it's charging and it's not really charging. And then even if it does charge, I just looked at my device. I had just charged it up. It has the wrong date and the wrong clock time on it now. So they know there's some weird bug with that, but they say they're going to issue an update before they make these generally available in the market. So they know that.
So
So all in all,
for
I like it.
The Acer's a better choice.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. Paul?
I mean, I like it a lot. Like I said yesterday, I need to travel with it because I don't use this device at home as my primary workstation. Although with the right docking, I might. I'm going to test that with the pluggable unit that I have. And when the Microsoft one comes out, I'll test it with that as well. But, I do use a desktop PC and a big screen and all that kind of stuff. But, I'll use the device around the house, like Mary Jo sometimes, move around a little bit. And of course, when I leave the house, and this week I'm going to Colorado. So, I want to use it on a plane. I want to use it in a hotel room. I want to use it in a remote place and see how that really works. Because I travel a lot for work and need something that, I can type on that works accurately and reliably and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll see. So I can't yet say whether I'm going to replace my current system, but it's certainly much more viable than the previous Surface Pro devices for me. I've always kind of liked the bigger screen devices. 12 inches is not exactly a big screen in the context of, a 15-inch Ultrabook or whatever. But as Mary Jo noted, there's something about the screen where the information is crisp and clear, and there's a lot of it. It seems to be, I don't know if laid out is the right term, but it's laid out nicely. All of the apps, I've noticed this in the Mail app, because there are apps I can look at side by side. I've got a 1080p screen here that's really big, and then this 2160 by 1440 screen, which is relatively small. You can have the same app running on both of them, and there's absolutely a difference in the presentation, and it's denser and crisper on the smaller screen, which is kind of interesting. And so I do like that a lot. But overall, I mean, I think this is a Surface Pro device that a lot of, pro customers, meaning, IT pros, information workers, developers, creative professionals, et cetera, have been asking for. I mean, I think this is the device, and it's, by definition is some form of a compromise. It's not a perfect tablet. It's not a perfect Ultrabook. It can't be, but I think they've struck the right balance for their kind of productivity-oriented audience, and so I like it quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm just happy Connected Standby is working despite that power issue I mentioned, because
it works
Surface
every other
RT,
time for me. Is how
I know. Does it? Oh
Yeah.
man. It's definitely holding a charge. Like I'm not having to charge it every day like I did with my Surface RT, even when I wasn't using it. So it's definitely holding the charge and letting me come back to it. The one thing that they mentioned on the Reddit AMA about the Surface Pro 3 this week, though, was that I didn't know was it goes after 4 hours into hibernation mode, and then it actually goes into sleep mode if you haven't touched
like
the
a
device.
deep sleep. Yeah.
It does, because I was wondering why I couldn't wake the device up really quickly, but it was after several hours. I was like, wow, why is it taking so long to start? And that's why they're trying to do that to conserve power. So I'm willing to make that concession.
I love that it has any form of connected standby. The notion that you could be using it around the house, in my case, around an office, and you have a meeting and 30 minutes goes by, and then you go and you just open the lid and it comes like right on, like an iPad would, like a device would.
Yeah.
Is fantastic.
That's a selling point.
It's a good, it's good behavior, from a power management standpoint.
All right. So both of you love it, but it's not necessarily the right tool for every use.
I need to, I'm a little dismayed at how quickly people have pumped out reviews of these things.
I know.
You gotta
I
use
need
it
to
for a
really
few
use
weeks.
it.
Yeah, you really do.
There were a couple of people that wrote reviews 2 days later. I mean, no offense to you youngsters, but seriously, I mean, no one can buy this thing until June 20th, so there's no rush. I mean, I feel like I'm on kind of a learning experience with this thing, and so every day I write something about it, and I just try to figure it out. And I don't have all the answers yet. I just got it. I mean, it's a week old, but so far so good.
Did you learn anything from Panos Panay's Ask Me Anything on Reddit?
Yes.
That's kind of that was a softball right to Paul.
That was a softball answer.
Well, we both did, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's some communication things going on with these guys that I don't quite understand. For example, and the big bad one from the from the Reddit AMA was someone asked about Thunderbolt connectivity. Apparently, the chipset that's in the device should have a Thunderbolt connector on it, and so there isn't one. I mean, where is it? And whatever. And there was like this really a bizarrely vague comment. It said, "Take a close look at the power connector." The power connector, if I understand what they mean, is the slot on the device where the power cable connects to, and when you make that connection, you're powering the device. It doesn't look like the slot that was on the old Surface devices, any of the other ones. It is, in fact, what it looks like is a full-size SD card slot. And I guess if you look inside there, what you can see is that there are additional pins in there beyond the ones on the fin of the power supply. So we know that the docking station that's coming out for this device will connect through that slot.
Makes sense.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
More stuff going on. But we also know that the docking station doesn't have Thunderbolt on it. And so what do they mean? I suppose somehow Thunderbolt could occur through that slot. Does that mean an adapter? Does it mean nobody knows? I don't know. They were so vague about it.
I think
I'm all about teasing new stuff, but I think this might set some false expectations for people.
Yes.
Right?
Don't expect a user-accessible Thunderbolt port.
Yeah. We don't know, or did they mean they're going to compete with Thunderbolt because they have some new, better way of doing this? We don't really know. They didn't clarify at all.
Right.
But I think maybe this was ineptly handled. But what he might be saying is, well, that Thunderbolt connectivity that is on the system on a chip we're using in the power connector as a data port for the dock, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be a very efficient
I
use
think
of
when people ask about Thunderbolt, what they're really asking is, I want to use a Thunderbolt peripheral.
Right.
Yeah. How does that work?
By the way,
right now,
you don't. Work at all. Let me just tell you, you don't want to use a Thunderbolt.
Seems like something you could answer. I think they sometimes are a little too coy, and maybe this is something they're not prepared to announce because in the future there could be some accessory that we don't know about yet or whatever,
right.
and that's fine. And I think there's a way to answer that that isn't so douchey. That's the right term. I don't know. I don't know. It's just
wow.
I don't know.
Well, or they could have done what they did when they got asked about right at the time the AMA was happening. There was a leak about a Surface branded dongle for Miracast that would be Microsoft's alternative to Chromecast, basically. And they got asked by a couple people on the AMA about that, and they just didn't even take that question. So that's what you do. I think you just don't take the question if you don't want to answer it yet.
Yeah.
And you just
you don't have to take any question on an AMA.
Exactly. Right.
You pick what you want to answer.
Skip it. That's your choice.
Yeah.
So that's too bad. There are things that people want to know about this device, which are understandable. I mean, there are 5 different models, 3 different processors. People want to know if there's a difference in the battery life, and they've been a little vague about that. What they're saying is that there isn't too much difference, but I think they have the stats. I mean, just throw them up and let people use that as they make decisions. They did provide good information about what screens and how many screens each one can drive, external screens. I thought that was answered well. They're going to improve the OneNote integration so that if you want to launch the desktop version of OneNote instead of the mobile version using the button on the pen, they're going to add that functionality. That's cool.
Yeah. What else? They talked more. They talked quite a bit about battery, and they mentioned. What did they talk about? They said. Besides the Hibernate thing, they said if you charge your Surface Pro 3 battery daily, meaning 5 days a week, it'll last more than 4.5 years and still have 80% capacity. So they've been doing a lot of things with the battery to make this device last a long time. And they said you can charge from 0 to 80% in 2 hours with the battery they have included. They said even though you
noticed, by the way.
Have you tried that?
Yeah, no, because I even just as recently as last night, I left it just on for like an hour. I'm running it down for battery tests. So I let it charge for a little while, but I wanted to use it on the couch, and I brought it on. I thought, well, maybe I should bring the power supply, and I was really surprised. It was up to about 50% just after even like an hour. And that's actually
apparently Joshua Topolsky loves using it in bed, so you might want to try that too.
Yeah, I do try to emulate him in every way possible.
there is an
Did
image.
he mention shower usage at all?
I don't believe he showers.
Sorry.
No, he's a bath guy. He's a tub guy.
He's a bath guy.
Oh yeah,
nice.
I see him in a tub with candles.
There's an accessory that
petals.
works, like a surface tray for the bath.
Yeah, very nice.
Just go across the bathtub and you can just put it in front of you.
I'm mightily relieved to learn that Windows 9 or whatever the hell it's going to be called will work on the Surface Pro.
You know
It will
what?
work
As
fine with your
crazy
Windows
as that
365
sounds,
subscription.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they answered that because I've
Yeah.
seen so many people speculating, will it work? Because they're going to make API level changes with threshold. And people have been wondering, is it still going to just work? And they said on the record, yes, your Surface Pro 3 will work.
Microsoft's the legacy company. It would be a shocker if the next version of Windows wouldn't work with existing Windows hardware. That would be like, what?
If they do Windows 9 right, it will work optimally only on new hardware.
Right.
And
much like
it will
Windows
work.
8.
It will
Windows
work,
8 works best on a touch screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just was still
Windows
very
9 will
happy
be designed for the post PC world.
Post. Post. And let's see what else. Panos on communication. Be genuine, have fun, and have products you believe in. Thank you
That's
very
great.
much, Panos Panay.
Somebody wrote in and said that he loved Panos' style of communication.
Actually, thought he did a good job presenting the Surface Pro.
Yeah.
I think he did a good well, there you go. You were there.
He has an interesting style. I mean, he's certainly...
He's a showman.
He's a
He's
showman.
definitely a showman.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Windows 8.1 with Bing. The headline is not only, you mentioned this, not only sub 9-inch screens and sub $250 devices, but then they also say Windows Phone will be free.
So Mary Jo can step through this because this is so convoluted. I think we spent 30 minutes on
parsing it.
Skype the day this was announced, parsing the language of this announcement because it is so vague.
Right. So Microsoft, we've known about Windows 8.1 with Bing for months.
How is it
months
different from Windows 8.1?
It has Bing, Leo.
But it does.
Excuse me.
And
excuse me. They all have Bing.
But this has
I don't
Bing,
understand your confusion.
I'm confused. Is there a Windows 8.1 without Bing?
Yes, there is.
What?
Some OEMs preload a different search engine, perhaps Google, when they ship these PCs. So if you agree to take Windows 8.1 with Bing, it means you ship the device with Bing set as the default
And
search
it can't
engine.
be changed.
It can
No, it
be
can't.
changed.
Oh.
It can.
Just not by the PC maker.
Right. Yeah. But, a lot of normals, like regular users, don't know that they're supposed to or even can change it.
Put that in the public title. You can call it that internally, but it confuses people in the real world who don't understand what the hell you're talking
but
about.
think about it this way. Of the normals who are going to buy the $200 tablet piece of junk that runs this thing. This sounds like something that has more stuff in it, doesn't it?
Yes,
It's
now
Windows
with
8.1.
Bing.
It's got Bing.
And the ads should always, whenever they say Bing, have a little white tooth. They go, ding. Now with more
exactly.
Bing. Ding.
And, the woman could smile and her tooth kind of
Ding.
does the,
Bing. So it's not even locked in. It's not even that you can't change it. It's just...
if they did that, what would happen, right? Antitrust.
You can't do it.
Do that.
But it's not. Now with Sleep Near.
It's fair to say that this product you've just described sounds ludicrous, and it couldn't possibly exist.
But it does.
Right? I mean, it sounds silly.
Okay. So all they're saying is if you want to use Windows free, you can't change the default
but
search
it's not
engine.
always free, and this is the thing.
It's
so
not. This is the crazy part, right?
Oh,
So if you read Microsoft's post where they officially acknowledge this, they talk about Windows being free now on smaller devices, but they never actually say that Windows 8.1 with Bing is free. It never says that. So what we think is it might be free, or it might be low cost, or it might vary in price, the SKU, based on how big the device is or who the OEM is. We don't know. And Microsoft hasn't said that the free SKU is Windows 8.1 with Bing, even though that's how people have reported it. That's not what they've
Interesting.
said.
This is a vile form of doublespeak, and in fact, Mary Jo and I were just talking about another version of this that was in a Surface blog post where you start a sentence where you talk about comparing two things, and then you end up at the bottom with some measurement that only applies to one of the two, and the whole totality of it makes it sound like you've made some giant comparison, but you have not. Yeah. And so in this case, what she just said is accurate. They never in their announcement say that this thing is free, that it is always free, that it is sometimes free, that it is never free. They talk about a free version of Windows that is on certain things, and then they talk about Windows with Bing, and it's going to be on low-cost devices, and they've never made the connection. So
confused the hell out of the journalists, because I've seen many articles saying free Windows with Bing.
Yep. Oh, I mean, our belief is sometimes it will be free, but I want to be clear, like she said,
not always.
It doesn't actually say that.
And the audience, the crowd is going wild. They're just leaping to their feet with excitement.
See, and by the way, what is that a picture of, Leo?
It is Windows 8.0 actually.
Well, okay, but yeah, actually that's true. But it's Windows 8.1 with Bing.
It is?
See, because it's Chandler Bing.
Oh, it's Oh! See, it went over my head.
See?
I get it. And he's sleeping.
This is why I make the big bucks.
Now, did you create that?
I did.
Oh, you're so funny.
In the actual photo, he's holding a Lionel Richie album.
Oh, man. Wow.
Well, he might be listening to Easy on his Windows 8.1 with Bing.
Yep.
He's easy like a Sunday morning.
Yeah, but we should tell people it doesn't look any different. If you get a PC with this on it, you won't even know, right? It's not a consumer visible.
Yep.
So why use the name?
It's for OEMs. It's an OEM SKU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not like Windows 8.1 Starter Edition. It's Windows 8 Core. It's just Windows. Yeah. It's just Windows 8.1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm happy.
But now you know what it is, so that's good.
This is Windows Weekly, now with Bing.
Windows Weekly with Bing. It sounds like we just gave you more.
By the way, Toshiba has announced the first Windows 8.1 device with Bing.
You're going to jump right on that bandwagon.
Now with Bing.
So, and by the way,
I think they really think that people will say, "Oh, this has more."
But this is interesting, right? Because these are tablets. I don't know if they're both mini tablets or if one's a full-size tablet. No, I guess one is full-size, one's mini. The mini tablet starts at $199, meaning it qualifies for a free version of Windows. They're selling it with Windows 8.1 with Bing, so it must be free on that device.
Well,
actually, we don't know that.
We don't know either. But
yeah, but why would they put it on there if it wasn't free? If you could get another version for free, wouldn't you use that version?
So maybe the idea is Microsoft is hoping that people will put on the box with Bing. It's free advertising for Bing, and it makes it it makes it a positive, right?
But
hey, now with more Bing.
Here's the weird thing: the second tablet is $269.
Yeah,
so they don't get it for free.
That one, is it with Bing or without Bing?
Does it cost more than $19 to get this product? Because if it does, sell it for $249.
Yeah,
you would get it free.
Free. But you'd have to say with Bing.
No, I think Leo's stumbling onto something. I wonder if they do have to say that, because we don't know. We know they have to ship it with Bing as a default, but we don't know if there are any other conditions.
Aha, see, I think you have to say Windows 8.1 with Bing. And that's a promotional. That's a promotional.
If you say it 3 times, Bing market share goes up 1%.
Beetlejuice shows up. I think it's like saying Intel Inside. You know, the Intel pays good money for that Intel Inside sticker. Of course, Intel's inside, but with Bing,
maybe there's a sticker on it that has the Bing logo on it.
Now with Bing, I bet bingo.
Or you get a reduced price if you agree to do more things.
Right.
Like you get a set price.
It's co-marketing. It's
right. If you add the sticker, maybe if there is a sticker, you get.
I bet there's anybody have a machine? Any machine with 8.1 with Bing in the chat room?
Check. Oh no, it's not out yet. No one has it yet.
Oh.
Nothing is out yet with it.
I mean, we all have it really because it's just Windows 8.1.
Right.
Right.
No, but that's the cynical point of view.
Okay.
Surprising.
Of course we all have it.
Way,
We know that, but it comes with Bing.
Right. This is like an awesome conversation. It's not Windows 8.1. This has Bing.
Bing.
No, but it's the same thing as Windows 8. No, it is Windows 8.1 with Bing.
Bing.
It's free, but it gives me more.
See, I think instead of Chandler Bing, you should have had Bing Crosby with a pipe holding his Windows.
Oh, Leo, that's.
I like that.
I would have gotten that.
And I am going to do that at some point.
Yeah, now you got it. Now with Der Bingle.
Maybe they can make that a screensaver or something.
Hey, look over there, Nathaniel. It's Windows 8.1 with Bing. By God, that's beautiful.
Oh, man.
They should have Matthew Perry do the ads, though.
I agree.
Yeah, there's an opportunity, Microsoft.
Yep.
Moving along, Microsoft to tweak its Office 365 feature rollout and disclosure processes.
Foreclosure.
Foreclosure processes. What are you talking about here?
Okay, this is actually awesome news, and we get dinged sometimes, me and Paul, for being cynics and Eeyores and down on Microsoft. But this is an item where it's like, yay, Microsoft! So glad you're doing this. So what they're doing is with Office 365 going forward, they're actually going to be more transparent about what you're going to get and when you're going to get it in terms of features. Believe it or not, this is really going to happen. So they're going to change the way they disclose features that are coming. And we don't know, what level of detail this will be, but 30 to 90 days out, they're going to tell you about features that you're going to get if you're an Office 365 business customer, especially around SharePoint and Exchange Online. Then, as if that wasn't good enough, they are doing one more thing, which is they're initiating this thing called First Release. First Release is going to let people who are administrators select a subset of their users to get these features earlier than everybody else. So a minimum of 2 weeks before, you're going to be able to pick and choose which users are going to dog food this for you to make sure that you're ready for it and that you want it. And this is really good news because Microsoft, when they've been pushing out all these updates to Office 365, it's been breaking some things for people. And this is meant to kind of say, all right, we know this is happening and we want to help you guys prevent this from happening. Even though we want you to get all the latest features on a faster cadence, we want you also to be able to prepare for it and test and be ready. So we're going to have this first review program. We're also going to have an NDA preview program that'll give you a slightly different set of options as to which users get the new features. And I think this is all goodness, and we should applaud the team for doing this. Yay, a positive story about Office 365.
That didn't seem very heartfelt, but...
Mary Jo, you weren't very heartfelt in that.
I mean it. I do mean it, because I think a lot of times we're beating them up for like, this broke, this isn't that great, this feature's not right, people aren't happy about this. But when they do positive things, we need to give them positive reinforcement. Just like a dog.
To be fair, I actually think the Office 365 stuff is, routinely excellent. I don't really have much, if anything, bad to say about that stuff.
That's good. Glad to hear that.
And was there a billing glitch?
Yikes.
Whoops.
I just had a glitch.
No, there wasn't.
Listen. I'm so sorry.
It's like
I don't know what happened there.
A new kind of witch.
Yes, there was a little billing glitch.
Say that carefully, please.
Yes, I will. Billing glitch right before the Memorial Day weekend, where some people were seeing their Office 365 bills for their next year show up as double the price of the ones they have now. And that was just a billing glitch, Microsoft said. I'm being very careful in saying that.
Linda, the billing glitch.
And they have fixed it. That's the good news. So, yes, if you did see double the price, that was just a temporary thing, and it should be all fixed. And if it's not, you should go back to Microsoft and say, hey, you didn't fix my glitch.
Good. And let's talk this week in illegal data requests. Microsoft says, we won. We held out against the FBI. Or did they?
Yeah, well, they did, and you know, they argued that this request was illegal and unconstitutional, and I'm trying to think who said that they were right. Who was it? I guess I don't see it here, but yeah, I'm sorry. They challenged it in federal court, and the federal court ruled yes that it was in fact illegal. So the FBI withdrew its request, and Microsoft declared victory, and they had a nice little blog post like, we're saving your private data from the government, and then the FBI just went to the company they were trying to get information about and got the information anyway.
And they got it anyway.
Yeah.
That is the best graphic ever, by the way. I agree with you, Paul.
Everybody must go to the super site for Windows. Look for this story. It's in his May 23rd short takes, and he's taken. What is this? This is the.
So when I wrote the headline, I started to write Microsoft fought the law, and then I was like, wait, Microsoft won. And so I thought of the I Fought the Law song.
I fought the law.
And I looked it up, and this is like the album art from the original song.
Wow.
And I thought, you know, this is in like a colorized black and white thing. And the guys' faces are actually black and white in the original album art. And the faces of Microsoft executives at Microsoft.com/news are in black and white. And you know.
Wow. How much time did you spend doing this, Paul?
I know.
Honestly, it wasn't that long, 15 minutes.
He's good with his Photoshop.
He is.
I love it.
It's great. He's got Mark Penn in there and Kevin Turner.
Tell us who these people are from
Mary
left to
Jo
right.
might appreciate this because she might have seen this comment. On Friday when I did this, my daughter came home from work, 12 years old, and I said, Kelly, come here, I got to show you something. And I look at this thing I made. And she says,
huh?
Is this really what you spend your time on during your day?
and furthermore, are proud of and called me in to show me.
And I was like, but look at
I did it.
Dad.
Poor Paul.
She just shook her head and walked away.
You know what, Paul? Print out a copy and just put it on the refrigerator.
I should.
Yeah.
She would actually find that to be really funny.
That's good, though. Satya's in there. And who else? Brad Smith is
Mark
in
Penn.
there.
So
Brad Smith,
left to
who
right.
coined the letter.
Left to right. Who are these people here?
So I just closed it, but it's Mark Penn,
Mark Penn all
Kevin
the way.
Turner.
Kevin Turner. That's the chief counsel.
Brad
He's
Smith.
the COO.
Oh,
Yeah.
COO, Kevin Turner. And then Brad Smith, the chief counsel. And, of course, Mr. Nadella.
And Satya Nadella,
CEO. What's the name of the original group? Bobby?
Oh, I actually don't even remember.
Rydell? Who did I Fought the Law?
Yeah.
Chat room will know. I'm still waiting for the Bobby Fuller 4. Those are them. The Bobby Fuller 4.
What do you want to learn?
Oh, I'm going to play the song just for a little bit here. Just, this will be...
You should look up that album art so you can see the original. It's bizarre picture.
There's a go-go dancer in a prison cell. And there... this musical interlude brought to you by ZipRecruiter.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the back of the book, Paul's picks, tips, Mary Jo's beer, and more. ZipRecruiter is the place you need to go if you are hiring. If you're in HR or you've got a small business and your job is to get the right person for the job, you know for a fact that means going to multiple different job boards and posting it. How do you even know which job board is the right job board for that particular position? Well, I could save you a lot of time. Just visit ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. No, that's paulthurrott.com/Windows. There it is, ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. And with a click of the mouse, you will post your job to 50-plus job boards. 100,000 companies use ZipRecruiter.com. Not only job boards, but also Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+. Everybody will see this job posting. And then what's great is they help you organize the results. The qualified candidates will roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. They'll automatically highlight the most qualified candidates so you can screen them quickly, rate them, and hire the right person fast. ZipRecruiter also will give you a page with your company's logo and colors, so those job pages look like an extension of your business. You could even create a company careers page to use as a careers link. and unlimited users to your account so you can get some help to screen all these great candidates. Try ZipRecruiter. Find out why they are so popular. With over 100,000 businesses, including Twit, we've used them. We continue to use them, actually. Right now, you could try ZipRecruiter for a free 4-day trial by going to ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. ZipRecruiter.com/Windows. The best way to post jobs. Paul Thurrott is here with his pick. By the way, Mike B says, ZipRecruiter is great. I lost my job 3 weeks ago. Sorry, Mike, in our chat room. That's why Mike's been in the chat room all of a sudden. But he says he's found a lot of opportunities as a job seeker on ZipRecruiter. So that's great. Thank you for that unsolicited testimonial. Actually, I have a couple of questions we didn't get to and I wanted to ask you about. We talked about this yesterday on Security Now. Steve thought this was a wonderful idea. I'm a little less sanguine. Apparently, there's a hack you can do to Windows XP to convince. It's a simple registry change that then says, I'm not Windows XP, I'm Windows XP for embedded systems, and you can continue to get updates. Good idea?
I don't think it's going to matter.
I like Barry Joe's nonverbal response.
Let's just say we didn't discuss it, notably.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to go away.
Microsoft's warning is you could cause problems because you might get bits that don't belong. But I think you nailed it, and Steve said this too. How long before Microsoft turns this thing off?
Right. Next year,
Well,
right?
I guess the assumption here is that Microsoft is charging people for support, and for those companies that pay, they've turned the spigot on the normal Windows update process. I don't think so. So I don't know, but I don't believe that's how that works. And so I don't think this is actually a long-lived, real-world solution to a problem.
The truth is, most of the people who are using Windows XP are not exactly going to hack the registry.
Exactly.
This is the wrong group of people.
I didn't even think
Fair
of
enough.
that. Yeah.
Grandma's using XP for a reason, and it ain't so that she can hack the registry.
Right.
Right? I'm just saying.
Right.
And then the other one the chat room wants to ask about is this story that CNET's running. I'm sorry, not CNET. About Microsoft getting into the home automation business. Oh, it is CNET, with a partnership with Insteon. Now, of course, a lot of rumors about Apple perhaps announcing something on Monday at WWDC in home automation. This is Microsoft announced a partnership with Insteon today to incorporate.
I've not seen this yet, so I don't know.
It's just broke.
I think it was last week, late last week, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but what was interesting about this was I know they're building Windows Phone apps and Windows 8 apps. Insteon is for home automation.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, look at that.
It is. Yeah. But the part that I was interested in is they're also going to have some things like light bulbs and things that are connected to this available from Microsoft, supposedly.
Microsoft will begin selling devices and starter kits in store in early July.
I guess in Microsoft stores.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear from Insteon or Microsoft about this at all. So I saw it on CNET too, and I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't know they were going to do that. But Microsoft's already got a whole bunch of different things going on in home automation around Xbox and around some of the research projects they have, like Home OS. So they have a lot of things in the works, but they haven't really commercialized a whole lot of these beyond what they're doing at the Internet of Things and Windows Embedded and especially around Azure now as being the connector for that.
All right. Just thought I'd pass those two because the chat room wanted to know. Now we move on to our picks of the week, starting with Paul's tip of the week.
I guess I'm sort of soliciting tips in a way. I've been writing at least one Surface Pro 3 article each day, oftentimes 2 or 3, kind of building up to a review. But you'll be delighted to hear that I'm probably also going to write a book about Surface Pro.
Oh man! Well, at least you'll stop doing weird Photoshops.
Briefly. So I'm looking for questions, of course, that people want answered, but also if people have any tips about Surface not many people have Surface Pro 3 yet, but if they have kind of Surface related tips, I'm very interested. So check out the guide that I posted already and just contact me at the usual email address if you have questions and or comments.
Or I'll see you in the parking garage at midnight.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny you say that. I just got a Watergate-related email from Fox News, which is fascinating because I don't subscribe to any Fox News newsletters, and I don't write about politics.
Oh, Lord. I've been going through email hell because I've moved off of Gmail, and I didn't realize how much spam Gmail was getting. I always knew how much bacon I was getting. That's stuff you kind of didn't subscribe to, but maybe you did, and you really don't want it. And but what Google does, it's great.
What have you switched to?
Well, I'll explain in a second. But what Google does in Gmail is they have this promotions tab if you use the tabs, and all that stuff goes there, and I don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
So I switched to, because Gmail's IMAP implementation is non-standard and not very compatible, and I want to have more control over my email. So I went back to Fastmail, which I've always used. It's a very good IMAP provider out of Australia, fastmail.fm. And the problem is I'm now seeing all this crap that Google was hiding, So so somebody in the on the Twitter told me about something called unroll.me, which
I actually,
do you know about
that? I think I had that as a pick at one point.
You probably did. It sounded awfully familiar. But it only works with Gmail. And Yahoo Mail might work
No,
with
that's not
Outlook.
true.
Doesn't work with standard mail systems.
Oh, okay.
It only works with a few of the web-based.
So I
systems.
mean, I use Outlook.com obviously and Office 365, and those services do a great job of catching
Getting
spam.
rid of all that spam.
My work email, however, is comedically bad at it. In fact, I'm reasonably sure they're actually actively seeking out spam and sending it to my account.
Well, that's the problem. As journalists, we can't they don't have unsubscribes in the press releases that we get. I wish they did. But we get so much email, every day from people pitching us stories on monster truck rallies that we would not.
Oh yeah, no, it's like I said, it's comedic what I get. It's
nothing to do with our beat.
Yep. Yeah, I routinely get real estate listings from Mongolia.
Yeah. I have a woman, for some reason, has decided I want to rent a place in San Francisco, keeps sending me listings. No, thank you.
So if you want to stay in what do they call a yurt or a
yurt? A yurt.
A yurt?
You can get yurts
I've got
because
a
I
hook
like
up there if you need that.
Now, see that? I'm interested.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there are trolls who just think it's hysterical to sign me up for every dating site in existence.
Actually, I'm reasonably sure that happens. But the thing is, my personal email address, that's easy enough to fix.
Right.
The Outlook or whatever the exchange thing we're using is, they very clearly do not protect in any way, shape, or form. In fact, when I've complained about it, they said, just use Outlook, and it has built-in spam filtering. And I said, that's not a solution. That's a dock.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
By the way, that monster truck rally is August 2nd and 3rd in Santa Rosa. I'm very excited about that. I'll just pass that along.
Maybe I'll head out there before I go to Mongolia.
Big fun.
It's kind of on the way.
I love your software pick of the week this week, Paul.
So, before I get to that, we didn't do an Audible pick, but and we had Mark Razinovich on last week. But I just wanted to mention that I finished Road Code, which is his latest book, and it's very, very good. I think I had mentioned on a recent show this notion of author-narrator pairings, and he has a guy who's very, very good who does all of his books as well. Mark does, and this is a great story. But one of the things I'd love to be able to recommend more often are industry books. We don't really see a lot of industry books these days for some reason.
Yeah.
I would say, though, if you want an insider's look at how the industry really works, Mark Razinovich's books are all amazing in that capacity because, of course, he has deep internal understanding of how things work, and all of his stories are about these things, and they're actually really, really good. And so you have kind of like a Daniel Suarez books, which are crazy and also are based in real world things, but of course, they really take it a step beyond. I mean, Mark's books are both excellent and troubling because they are all based on real world technology and are all incredibly plausible. And I just throw it out there. It's a great book. It's a good story, but the technology and the stuff that's behind it is all real, and it's worth knowing about.
I saw a story this morning somewhere where it said the guy who's redesigning Microsoft's strategy, and it was Mark Razinovich.
Yeah.
Because I guess of his
it's
work
nice
at
to see
Azure.
people wake up about Mark Razinovich, because that story mentioned a couple of things I mentioned last week on the podcast. the NT server, the workstation registry flip, and his work on the Linux kernel and all that kind of stuff. But
this is written by Cade Metz, who's actually a really smart writer at Wired. Microsoft's most clever critic is now building its new empire, and lo and behold, it's Mark.
yeah. Mark's a great guy.
I love it. He is a great guy.
Super smart.
We should have him on more. Really love
him. So my software pick of the week, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, but I believe it's Machinarium. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's what I call it, Machinarium. It's great.
I discovered it because it was like in a red stripe deal, which is like a money off deal that Microsoft has on the Windows Store, which is like for Windows 8. I then looking into it, I discovered it's actually also for sale on Windows Phone 8. It works fine on Windows Phone 8.1. And I don't know, I sort of compared it in the notes to that game Limbo in the sense that it's a sideways scroller of sorts, but it's got really deep atmosphere and a cool,
it's beautiful
personality. Beautiful, beautiful game. It's on sale right now for $1.99. It's usually $5. It's kind of a puzzle logic kind of a game. It's not a fast motion thing at all. You're presented with these scenes and you have to kind of figure out how to do things.
Yeah,
and so,
you're a little robot and you have to make your way through the world. Push buttons.
Yeah, like that picture right there is the second level.
This one's a tough level.
Yeah, they're all really tough. Yeah. I mean, even the opening scene where you kind of learn how the play mechanics work. You are missing an arm and a leg, and you have to work with another creature that's here to get everything done. I obviously I'm an idiot, but I found it to be a little difficult,
No,
but
I do too. Yeah.
It's beautiful and it sounds great. And it's just, and I have to say, as far as Windows goes, I really struggle to find games that I care about at all on the modern platform, the touch-based system. A lot more really good games on Windows Phone right now for whatever reason. But this one's available on both, and they don't have that kind of cross-sell where you buy it in one, you get it for free in the other, unfortunately. But
this would be great on the 1520.
Yes, it's a fantastic game, and it works great on the 1520. It works great on the Surface Pro 3.
I can't remember if I've played it on the iPad or I've played it before.
It's on everything. You can buy it on services as diverse as Steam powered and
maybe I
iOS
played it on Steam. That might well be.
I think it's on PS Vita. It's everywhere. It's a beautiful
game.
Yeah,
love it. Machinarium, and that's a deal because it's $10 on the Mac side.
Is it really?
Yeah. So $1.99 is great. It was developed over a period of 3 years, says JC in our chat room, by 7 Czech developers. So that
you can tell this is not a weekend throw together.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's just a gorgeous game.
Neat story. I think it's time to throw it over to the distaff side. Mary Jo Foley.
Distaff side.
Yeah, the distaff side. I don't know. Don't ask me. That's something Bing Crosby might have said. Hey, look over there. It's Mary Jo Foley with the Enterprise Pick of the Week, Mary Jo.
Yes, I have a good one that just happened today, in fact. The Enterprise Pick of the Week is a company called Captain, Capptain, a French company.
Captain, oh my Captain.
Yes, a French company that does mobile analytics and push notifications. Microsoft bought them today. I remember right before Tech Ed, we were saying there were all these rumors Microsoft might buy a company. Maybe this was one of them. We don't know. But what they're going to do is take this service that this company builds that lets you monitor users and employees' behavior in real time and push out targeted messages to them. And they're going to integrate that with Azure so that they're going to make it available to mobile developers who are writing apps on Azure.
Neato.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that a lot of people are all gung-ho about because do you want to get those targeted mobile messages? Not everybody wants to get those on their mobile devices.
Hey, but if you're running a server and you want analytics, that's your life, right?
It is. So, and you want that data about the customers that are getting them, and so you can push more targeted messages. And the very interesting thing to me about this acquisition is this company, Captain, they actually build these analytics tools for not just Windows 8 and Windows Phone, but for BlackBerry, iOS, Android, smart TVs. So it's all, yet again, another example of the whole Satya Nadella cross-platform software and services thing. They're buying companies that don't just deal with Windows, but that actually have offerings across the board in all different markets in the mobile space. So a very interesting buy, I think.
Our code name, a little harken back to earlier in the show.
Yes, we mentioned Bill Gates being more involved in Office. And one of the things that he supposedly has taken a very big interest in is Oslo. And Oslo is something I've had as a codename pick before. It's a new application that Microsoft's building for Office 365 that's almost like Flipboard. It presents you with a lot of particulars about things that are happening in your work world.
It's
so things like
it's a dashboard.
It is. It's a dashboard or like a bunch of cards arranged that have things like who was in a particular meeting, what were the trending discussions, what documents were people sharing. And the reason I made it the codename pick today is I think I know what the real name of this product may be when Microsoft announces it. So it's almost like a reverse codename pick. I think the name of Oslo may be Delve, Delve, when Microsoft finally announces it. And the reason I think that is Neo Wen had a little story back in early May saying, hey, Microsoft just applied for a trademark for Delve, and we don't know what this is. Like, is it a game? What is it? And I've been asking around, and people said, we think this might be the final name for Oslo when Microsoft makes it available. So a little flip codename of the week, reverse pick kind of thing.
Oslo and Delve. And now it's beer time.
It is. And Paul has some.
Going to blow your mind.
Blow my
Paul has some skepticism on this one, but my beer pick of the week is from Flying Dog Brewing in Maryland, and they have a new beer out called Dead
I just want to note that I did contact her about this before we went live with it because I was like,
you did.
You didn't believe it.
It's a little weird.
Well, it's kind of disgusting, actually.
No, it's okay. Let me talk about this beer for a minute. It's called Dead Rise Old Bay Summer Ale, and so Flying Dog's in Maryland. So is the company that makes Old Bay Spice, which is something you use for
crab spice,
right? It's crab and seafood. Yeah. So they found a way when they were brewing the beer to incorporate the Old Bay spice, and I was a big skeptic. I'm like, oh, that's going to be horrible, but it actually is really delicious. It gives you just a little bit of that spice with the citrus, and I had it when I had some oysters recently, and it was really a nice pairing, I have to say. And if you're wondering where the name Dead Rise comes from, as I was, Flying Dog says Dead Rise gets its name from boats specifically designed to navigate the unique waterways of the Chesapeake. And that's where they're both based, Flying Dog and Old Bay.
And Ralph Steadman does the illustrations on Old Bay's boxes
Flying
and labels.
Dog's beers.
Flying Dog's labels. Wow.
Their labels are really awesome
Wow.
if you ever get to see it.
That is beautiful. All right. So Old Bay, if you like this, if you like the spice, or just pour the beer on your crab.
Yeah, you could do that, or boil your crabs in the beer. That would be
now we're cooking with gas.
That makes plenty of sense.
Now we're cooking with natural, unfracked gasoline.
I know this sounds like it isn't good, but you guys, if you see it, give it a try.
I don't remember. What's the predominant flavor of Old Bay spice?
Salt.
Salt.
Not salt so much. It's more maybe like almost like a saffronish kind of thing.
Savory.
That's interesting.
It's kind of savory.
Very savory.
Really?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, my friends, that concludes this edition of the Der Bingle of the new Windows Weekly with Bing. Paul Thurrott is at the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com. I don't know if you heard that, but he snuck in. He's going to do another book. The guy never stops.
It'll be a short one. Short. It's a little one.
I've heard you say that.
It'll be as thin as the Surface Pro 3.
His current book, Windows81book.com. That's on the web there. And there's also a Windows music book. And the Supersite for Windows is the place where he really shines, especially with his graphic illustrations. You can catch Mary Jo Foley at allaboutmicrosoft.com, her ZDNet blog. And, of course, both of them are here each and every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC for Windows Weekly. And if you missed the show live, on-demand audio and video always available after the fact at twit.tv/WW or Stitcher, or iTunes, the Xbox Music Store, your podcast application, and of course there's Twit applications for Windows Phone and every other platform, including the Roku. So pick up a Twit application, get Windows Weekly delivered to your device weekly. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mary Jo. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly.